Okay, here's the project for the rainy day today. We've got an old well we found in the woods, which had a cap welded over it to keep the water under control. But it's actually an artesian well, and it's popped the welds, and it's causing a big mud hole. So to stop the mud and to take advantage of this water, today I'm going to try to put together a little patch and plug it with a well seal. We're going to put an 1.25 inch pipe in to plug the drop hole in the well seal. We'll cap off the 1/2 inch hole, and then we're going to put a 1 inch to 3/4 reducer in the other vent hole and see if we can't put a hose bib in there and seal this thing up, but then have the ability to get a little water out of there if we need. If there's enough pressure to run water out of the hose, we'll have some extra free water. And if not, we'll take that 1.25 inch riser out of there and we'll add a hand pump to it and have us another little well. So here we go. All right, we got thread compound on here. We got it all tightened down with wrenches, and we're going to give us a shot and see if we can put this sucker in the top of that well and keep the water from coming out. Now, granted, these are intended for, I think, keeping stuff from going down into a well. And with this artesian well, we got water coming up from the bottom. Hopefully, when we tighten this down and that rubber seal that's inside of there expands out against the side of the well, it'll seal it up and we don't get that water coming up out of the top. But if we do, maybe we can control it through that hose bib and at least lay the hose back down to the creek rather than having a big mud hole up there in the middle of the trail. We got the lid off of the well. We're going to use this eye bolt as a kind of a plumb bob on a string and drop it down in there so we can see just how deep of a well we're working with. So I believe this is going to flow year round, but in the event that it doesn't and we want to add a pump to it, we'll want to know how deep this well is. So we'll put a piece of string on this eye bolt. We'll drop it down in there, and then when it hits the bottom, we'll tie a knot in the string, measure it off, and see how deep we are. So if we ever do want to add a pipe down there to the bottom of the well, we'll know how much depth we're working with. All right, so here's what we're working on today. We got this old well I found when I was clearing this trail here in the woods. And somebody just welded a top on it, but the weld is not very good. And this thing flows all year round, and it made just a big mud hole over here. So to kind of control the mud flow, I regraded this here so the water's running down to the creek. But rather than just keep dealing with the mud and trying to control this water, we're going to put this seal on here and see if we can't put it to use. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this top off with the grinder. We'll drop a bolt down there, see how deep it is, and then we're going to cap it up. All right, so that wasn't too bad. That weld was pretty poor there, so it just ground right off. And we don't have much water flow, but we can see it's full right to the top. So next thing I'm gonna do is drop that string down there, see how deep we are. Well, that was interesting. Kind of a surprise. I dropped the string line down there. I took a brand new roll of surveyor string with that eye bolt on it, and I run it all the way down to the end. So I'll have to look on the wrapper, see how long a string that was. A couple hundred feet, never did find the bottom. That bolt just kept falling. So I reeled all that back up, got the seal on there, and looks like it's going to work pretty good. Unfortunately, I guess I should have used a torque wrench. Got a little too heavy-handed with it, and I popped the heads off of 2 of the bolts. So hopefully I can get some replacement bolts and get those back out of there and tighten it back down. But for now, it looks like it's holding, and not much flow out of it. So, but at least we're sealed up, and got a spot on there where I can add a pump later on, and we'll have another place where we can get some water out of what appears to be a very deep well. Well, here's what we ended up with an end product, and it looks like it would have worked. Unfortunately, I got too heavy with the wrench and snapped the head off of one of these bolts. So you can see, other than this one bolt there, that's at about the 8 o'clock position there from here we're looking at it. The head snapped off of that, so that got that plate in there cattywampus, and we're leaking out of that bolt head. So we'll have to get a replacement bolt, swap that sucker out. But anyway, that's a bummer.